But yeah.
This is JAFMM Podcast Game of the Month featuring Little Nightmares.
Oh,
I liked how you had a setup at one point.
Okay.
It's that time of the month for the game of the month.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Okay, hold on.
Well, you don't have to redo it.
No,
You're
why is
just
it playing
it
backwards? It's that time of the month. If it's the game of the month,
It's that time of the monkey. It's the game of the monkey.
it's JAFMM Podcast Game of the Month.
Whoa.
Little Nightmares, originally named Hunger. Huh, see,
That is true.
I did some homework
Nice.
by Tarsier Studios.
Yeah, I like them.
I like Hunger better.
You like the name
As a
Hunger
name.
better?
I think it
Yeah.
it
It would have helped me out.
works a lot more. in
Yeah,
the-
I agree. I wonder
story.
why they changed it. Was it a marketing strategy?
I don't know.
Was it Microsoft that made them change it? Did they feel like they needed
Why would
to
it be
change
Microsoft?
Not Microsoft. Who did they third party to release with?
Bandai Namco.
Bandai Namco. That's it.
Yeah,
I wonder if it was them.
maybe. I mean, that's
Completely.
too bad. I feel like Hunger sort of ties it all together. Because it seems like it's a pretty big theme in the whole game.
Yeah.
Agreed,
All right.
agreed,
So you
agreed.
play as a little girl, 6.
Sure.
Yep.
Not
As her name.
not at all mentioned in the game.
It's not, but they'll tell you that. Tarsier.
I know.
All right, so you play as 6. You wake up, basically in like underground, or it feels like you're underground. You don't quite know where you are, and you escape, and you are this little critter girl trying to run away from what seems like some pretty horrible monsters, and you basically elude them and get through the game.
Yep.
That's the
Through
subject.
puzzles.
So this will be our spoil-free section as we discuss it.
So you and me beat it. Andy, did you beat it?
No, but I watched the ending.
Oh, you did?
I did.
How far did you get? Like what chapter? Do you remember?
Yeah, so there's, 5 chapters?
Right.
Yeah.
And I got through most of the way through chapter 2.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't watch a whole hell of a lot. Or, I didn't play a whole hell of a lot, but I then watched most of it. Okay?
Well, that's probably... Well, that's a mean thing to say.
So how would you categorize the game? Like, what genre would you put it in?
I would say it's like a 3D side-scroller with a little bit of depth.
Would you consider it a horror game?
For me, no. Would you?
No, I also would not categorize it as horror. Like, maybe I would go with suspenseful.
Yeah,
like
that's what I was thinking.
A
Suspense.
dark
Yeah.
thriller sort of thing. Maybe not thriller.
No.
There was definitely, I think there was one time it kind of made me jump a little bit because something unexpected happened.
Right.
But there was no times where, when we were playing, help me out, Resident Evil.
Yeah, 7.
Yes, for our February game.
You were real scared.
That was genuinely scared. Like, I had to put the game down and pick it up another day scared. Not even remotely
so
this scenario here.
I don't feel like this game is scary, but I feel like it is still tense. And I think it's sort of that new wave in all these survival horror games where you have to achieve something while avoiding something that will kill you without being able to attack them back, which I think creates a lot of tension. And I think it did a pretty good job of that most of the time, even though a lot of it tend to be sort of repetitive.
Yes. So I'm actually interested in hearing the 3 of our reviews because just going online, the variety or what do you call it? The
Diversity?
Thank you. The diversity of scores is quite large.
Yeah, I would agree.
People either really hate it or really love it. There's a few people in the middle, but there's a lot to either really like or really hate about the game.
Yeah, that doesn't make much sense to me. I thought it was pretty dang good. I think the only reason it would be rated so low is if people are comparing it to Inside.
Yeah.
Which I think is a very good comparison, but I also feel like I don't know. Inside is made by I don't actually know if this is true or not, but a bigger company, or at least a company that polishes their game a little better.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That was my main issue. Is it feels so similar to Inside, and Inside is so much more polished.
Yeah, it is.
See, I didn't play Inside, and I literally fell asleep playing this game. I just passed out on the couch playing this game.
To be fair, though, you were probably pretty drunk.
No, I was getting sick.
Oh.
I got really sick the next day, but no, it's very melodic and dark and kind of soothing. And
wow.
I mean,
I passed out.
I don't know if I would describe it as that, but
you didn't get
it's
super
it's
far into it.
No, I mean, it's suspenseful, yes. It's kind of like I was always wondering what's around the next corner or the next puzzle. But at the same time, it's kind of a slow game at the same time. And because of that, I fell asleep.
Yeah. Worth pointing out, all the footage on the YouTube version right now is from pretty much the first hour of the game. So it doesn't have a lot of the tense moments that we're talking about, because it does. The first hour is a lot of setup and learning the controls, and maybe even right now you're looking at me in the menu just looking at the controls trying to figure out how the fuck to even pick something up, because it doesn't tell you anything.
Yeah.
So.
And that is when I fell asleep during the first hour.
Right.
Yep.
Which is understandable, and I also one thing that I really did enjoy about it was like it's got a very good sense of style.
Yes, that is true.
And one of the things I liked about it was the camera motion in it, where it was always sort of swaying.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that could make people a little sick, maybe a little seasick. But that's a spoiler.
Is it?
I don't know.
I don't know. I think it's pretty apparent.
Whatever.
Well, we put the trailers at the front of this, and in one of the trailers it shows the ship. But
there's nothing spoilery about just that part.
No,
there's plenty to spoil.
I really
in the
liked
game.
that reveal though, because I didn't know that it took place on one, so I guess this is a spoiler. But so like I just thought the camera was sort of there to just give you this uneasy feeling, and then when you actually pull out to reveal that, I was like, oh, that's cool, that's neat.
All right, I will say one thing. I was disappointed just because of the name. Like, I wish they would have left it as Hunger, because the idea of Little Nightmares, I thought way back in like January or whatever it was, I thought the whole thing was about somebody being caught up in their nightmares. And like this was like somebody's like Freddy Krueger type scenario. And I was like, oh, that'd be a fun concept for a game. Yeah. Not that this was bad, but like the concept or the way the game was made, it just, it set me up for different expectations.
But maybe it is. Maybe it could still be that, because there's. I guess we're getting into spoiler territory.
Well, let's hold on. Let's not get into spoiler yet.
Okay. I won't.
Okay. You want to start going down our?
Sure.
Okay, so we always have rate our games each month by graphics, sound, control, fun, their story, and then we give an overall score. We do this 1 through 5. 1 being terrible, 2 being rough but not a disaster, 3 acceptable but not noteworthy, 4 being noticeably great, 5 stands out as the very best of its contemporaries. So first thing is graphics. The art and the animation included. I gave it a 4.
I also gave it a 4.
Yeah, so did I. As a non-animator, I thought that was probably the biggest redeeming quality of it. Is the animation was pretty stellar.
So I have a question. The itchy quality of the animation, was that intentional?
I want to say yes, but then you look at the run cycle. Did the run cycle bother you at all when you ran?
Yeah.
I just didn't like the way that felt. But like all the other characters, I was like, oh, this is a lot of cool, like specific animation.
I want to believe so badly that all that like jitteriness was completely intentional.
I mean, it very well could be. Like, look back at all the Silent Hill games where they implement that into their monsters to make them.
It goes back to like the same way like stop motion when it's kind of like done jittery. It's very disturbing. Or the same way like when you watched The Ring, and when the girl, her like mechanics with long hair, it's very creepy, and they ended up doing that because they filmed the girl walking backwards, and then they reversed it so she's walking forwards.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yes. I did an experiment once with, this is years ago, so a girlfriend a long time ago, so she had really long dark hair, and I did that, and it was the fucking scariest thing. Did I show you that, Andy?
Yeah, you did.
That was fucking freaky.
Yeah.
It's easily recreatable. Feel free to do it yourself. Take your iPhone or whatever. Have your girlfriend put her hair over her eyes and have her walk backwards with her arms out.
Then play it forward.
Fucking freaky. Yeah. I don't know. Be like, oh, look, that's pretty interesting.
I don't know.
Big baby.
It's
yeah. Well, if you knew my girlfriend back then, it was pretty scary.
But I think with the animation, I think it brings a lot to the story. Like in the very beginning, and this isn't a spoiler, it's just in the very beginning, what I was thinking is, you wake up and there's no dialogue throughout the whole game, but you instantly feel for this little girl, and I think it's all because of the animation.
Yeah.
It's all the style, the movement, the little baby footsteps that she takes, just the, a lot of the movement, and then her design really brings in the character development without having any actual dialogue.
Very Coraline-esque.
Yes.
Her little, it looks like she's wearing a yellow raincoat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I attributed that design to Journey.
Yeah, okay.
With like just sort of a blank face, but just like a very iconic looking designed jacket, suit, whatever. I thought the best part of everything, of all the design, was the sets, basically. Like, I really liked the monster looking people, especially the fat people later on. They're just gross and weird looking. But like one of the most iconic moments that I remember is when she falls down into like just a sea of children's shoes. That was just like the weirdest, coolest fucking thing.
Yeah. I think my favorite part was he's all over the trailer, the little chef guy.
Oh yeah.
When he reached underneath his face.
Oh yeah.
And like scratched his face or whatever.
Yeah.
That was so fucking gross and disturbing. I was like, whoa. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. And like I was saying earlier, there's so much specific animation because it's all just moving left to right linearly. Like, again, in the hunger, well, not the hunger, but the scene with all the fat guys trying to eat her, like, all of that is just specific to that moment where they're, like, chasing her and it's all, like, grabbing onto specific stairwells and everything. I thought it was really well done.
So what'd you guys give the sound?
I gave the sound a 4 because it, gave me the proper creepiness vibes.
Yeah, I think, the sound, despite putting me to sleep and being very melodic, I think it set the mood, right? And I don't think it's just, the music, but also just the sound of it. Bringing it into the atmosphere, and especially towards the end, it really brought it home. And I think they did a really good job with it, so I would say a 4. Definitely not a 5, but a 4.
Yeah, I had it lower, but I think I'm going to bump it back up to 4 now, remembering, because I was trying to remember back to those creepy guys, and when they, like, make their, like, screech sound when they're coming to get you. Ooh, and another really good thing is every time one gets near, you hear your own heartbeat start to race, and it instinctually starts to make you start to, like, get a little anxiety. That was really cool. So that sound really worked. Yeah, but those guys sounded creepy, though. And they'd, like...
Yeah. I mean, they sounded like the ring wraiths from Lord of the Rings.
Okay, a little, yeah.
But it's still spooky when you fucking trigger it.
Can I say one thing about the animation, going back a little bit?
Yep.
is when the characters go through objects really bugged the hell out of me. Like they would reach through cages,
Right.
through the side of a cage. It was
Yeah.
obnoxious. Especially when I had to redo a thing like 3 or 4 times because they reached through a cage.
What is our next one? Controls.
Let's do control. 'Cause,
Okay.
Yeah.
Dear fucking lord. It verges on a 1. I'll maybe be
Wow.
nice and give it a 1.5. The controls were so awful that I wanted to stop playing the game.
They weren't that bad.
They were bad. I never got accustomed to the layout of running, jumping, ducking, sliding, and holding onto objects. I constantly was like, all right, now I press this button. Yeah, okay, I need to run. Okay, that's one button. All right, then I need to press over and then jump. Oh, okay, now there's another button to grab onto what I need to grab onto. So you're hitting anywhere between 4 and 5 buttons to do a simple jump and grab. That should be one button. One button. Jump, keep holding jump, and you hold on to something.
No.
Yes,
That
every game
has
is like
so
that.
many detractors to it, I'm sure.
Who would disagree about making the buttons more simple?
I mean, Inside had a button dedicated to grabbing too.
Oh, what? All right, I just as practice, I want to go back and play Inside because I never had any problems with Inside. I was immediately accustomed, and I felt like I was one with the controls. I never felt like that with this. So frustrating. And then, okay, talking about more controls, the Z depth. I never knew where the fuck I was.
I would say I died the most times in this game because of the Z depth. You're supposed to be running from something, and you're doing it for 2 minutes, and then you get to the end, you beat it, and then you have to walk across a fucking pipe. You just slide off the goddamn pipe.
We're using an animation term calling Z depth, but Z depth refers to the forward and back, how deep it is in the screen or how forward it is in the screen. So it's not left and right, it's forward and back. So there's a forward and back component to the side scroller, and there's not enough drop shadows or whatever, so I could not tell what the fuck was going on.
Overwatch is $38.99 for the next 6 days on Xbox. There you
It
go.
is.
Oh, shit.
Jamie Guy, you're coming in with a last minute news
tip.
topic.
Thanks, Jamie.
So, I think the comparisons to Inside are totally valid, and not so much on the controls and button layout, but I feel like the direction that it gives players, both games are very tense, and both games have you being chased by something that will kill you.
Yep.
But in Inside, it's always incredibly clear where you're supposed to go. Whereas in this one, because there's so much more variety in terms of depth and stuff that you can go to, it's never super clear how you're supposed to get away from something. So it's just trial and error as opposed to I need to jump over this fence to get away from.
Do you remember when on Inside you were swimming away from those crazy sea wenches with the black hair?
Yeah.
And the game is so well made and timed that you just get to your rescue point right before they're going to grab your ankle.
Yep.
And it was so well made that it would get me going every time I would have to do that. This goddamn, the controls in this game, I don't know how many times it happened to you, but I almost never got past one of those parts without dying multiple times. So it took away, I remember reading stuff about Inside. It's they knew that if the player had to experience a scenario over and over again, dying on the same section, it would take away the suspense and kill the game for them.
Yep.
Little Nightmares is unfortunately an example of that, which is I would play the same area, die over and over again because either just the controls. I was all right, I know I have to run and slide. Wait, what's the slide button? Fuck, I'm dead.
Okay, well, I think
Or
that's on you.
I have to jump and then have to jump twice. And it's I know exactly what I need to do, but I can't execute the buttons. I don't want to get into specific parts yet, but goddamn.
I mean, I had similar stuff, but it was more because of the depth. There's one where you're running from something, and it's a whole series of jumping, sliding, dashing, whatever, all the way to it. But then you have to climb onto a specific box to jump and grab a rope or whatever. But every time I would jump slightly towards a different angle instead of straight, and I would miss the fucking rope. And it's like, just condense the Z depth in this situation so this doesn't happen.
Yep.
So that was annoying.
Curvy.
Yeah, I would give it a 1.5.
Dang.
And, I had 3 weeks to play this game, and I only got halfway through it because of the controls. I would sit there in the beginning of a section and practice, sliding and throwing and jumping just so I knew what I would have to do during the next section because I died so many times. And it took away the suspense. It took away the fun from it. And like the throwing, I had to relearn throwing a million times just to get it right. And even then, like if I went and picked it up like right now, I still wouldn't know how to throw, even though I played it like 2 hours ago. Like today, I picked up the game again and I was trying to play through it, and it reset my spawn to a couple sections back, which I'm not even sure why the hell it did that. Yeah. And my first thought was, God damn it! Now I got to learn those controls for those sections again.
Seriously,
what's up with you, Gabor?
No, we're pretty video game literate, and the controls were fucking dumb.
Yeah, they were dumb. The one thing I did like about the controls is moving objects of, like, if you have to move a box or move a chair.
Yeah.
And the dynamic of it, that you could slide it, not just forward and back, and you could rotate it. Yeah, that was cool. I like that.
I liked it at first until that was one where I always got confused about how to actually rotate it and move it in the direction I needed to, because I'd always just end up like spinning it in the wrong direction. That was stupid. But
Fun fact.
I don't think I ever gave you a.
Oh yeah, you did.
I gave it a 3 because I did not find it that difficult. I just felt like level design and
you played it for the PlayStation
direction. Yeah, I did.
I mean, I'm guessing it's not that different, but I wonder if it had any sort of like, if there was any like just, I don't know. That doesn't make sense. But both Andy, you played on Xbox.
Yeah,
I played on the Xbox. I wonder if there was anything to that.
I don't know. I'm probably used to it because I think that Unravel game had a very similar gameplay layout where there's a jump button, a grab, and all the other shit.
How long of a time did you play it going through? Did you play it for hours at a time?
Yeah, I beat it in 2 sittings.
Yeah.
That's probably contributes.
It's completely short enough to do that. Like,
right,
it's a short game, and I knew it was short going in, but it was shorter than I even expected.
But if you broke it off from day to day, and I think spent took off 4 days and played it for a half hour, took off 4 days, played it for a half hour, maybe the games wouldn't, or the controls wouldn't come to you as naturally.
I mean, I feel like the controls for Zelda are more complicated than this was.
Yeah, I don't know why.
This game's not complicated. It's a fucking jump, grab, and slide.
And it shouldn't be complicated. I mean, they're easy controls in, how they are. They should be easy, but they make it so much more difficult than it should be. It's not a new concept of sliding and jumping and throwing things, but they make it really difficult for whatever goddamn reason.
Is the shoulder?
I wonder if it's the timing.
Is the left shoulder button your duck button? Can you think about that?
Oh, well, I mean, if you check the menu, there's multiple buttons that do similar things. So if you're using the left shoulder button, then you can also use like the right shoulder button.
Right, okay.
There's also the lighter.
Yeah, that's the B button.
The light.
Yeah.
That one. I couldn't remember that one.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Let's stop bashing on that part.
Fun factor, right?
Yeah.
That's next. I gave it a 4. No, I gave it a 3.5. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I think the most annoying part, like I said, was the weird Z-depth in places it didn't need to be. I thought the checkpoints were not incredibly forgiving on those sections. Although I guess they want you to feel that tension. So they want you to get it all the way through. But it's still annoying when you don't get it the first time and you have to replay a whole thing again.
Yeah, I gave it a 3.
All right, that's
It's average.
average.
The reason why I bumped it back up, like to make up for the fun or the controls, like the fun factor went up mainly because of the third act. That was cool.
Yeah, that's getting into some spoil. Well, in story, we'll
Yeah.
talk about that.
Yeah, I'm just saying I like the third act.
Yeah.
That made it fun for me.
Yeah. See, I don't know. See, I'm big on drinking beer and rating beer and use the Untapped.
Yep.
And I listen to a few beer podcasts, and some brewers always bitch about people who say, "Oh, this is a IPA, and I hate IPA, so I'm going to rank it low." But you got to really rate it for the genre, right?
Yes, you have to rate it against its contemporaries.
Yes. And I'm a PC gamer, and I'm more of a sandbox gamer, and I really, really don't like puzzle games. So, at its core, I don't think this game is really the best game for me, but in terms of genre, in terms of I just want to like sit down and relax and play a puzzle game, I would rank it a 3.5. It's fun. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
It's fun enough.
I wouldn't call it a very complex puzzle game, but yeah, I mean that's basically what it is. A puzzle platformer with a little bit of fake ass horror in there.
Well, then, what do you think about the story?
So I have no fucking idea what the story is even about.
That is why I knocked it down a few pegs. The story kept me, whatever for the story it was, kept me very intrigued, and I want to know what it was. All right, so we should start the spoil section now that we're in the story section.
Sure.
So if you haven't played it yet and you don't want to know more, please turn it off at this moment. Boop. So the story doesn't actually conclude. You don't really get a good justification of what 6 is. So, in so much of the story is about her, like why I like the Hunger name is because all of a sudden she starts turning evil. You, as 6, start turning evil. You start biting things. You start eating things. There's these little gnomes on the ship. And you end up, one of the climaxes, you keep getting hungry and you eat grosser and grosser stuff.
Yep.
And a gnome offers you some sausage to eat. And you fucking eat the gnome instead.
I called that as soon as I saw it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it wasn't that surprising, but it was still, like, disturbing.
Yeah.
So, why? I still don't know why. What was going on?
I don't know, but the ship was obviously, well, not obviously, but in my brain, some sort of, I don't know, Japanese cruise ship for people to eat stuff maybe made out of children. So basically, we'll go chapter by chapter. The first chapter is just her walking, no enemies. Second chapter is Mr. Long Arm guy, which I don't really remember what he did. But then you get to the chef.
He was like a doll maker.
Well, and he was hanging up the people to like go on their like.
He was prepping them, maybe.
Yeah, he was prepping them to go on to being cooked.
Yeah, so then
the children, and they were children.
You go to the chef people, and then after the chef people is all the people trying to eat you, and then 5th chapter is the shortest chapter, and I think the worst chapter in the whole game is basically fighting the geisha, like the owner of the ship.
The owner. Yeah.
But I don't know what any of it means.
Right.
There's a lot of.
I think the 5th chapter is more the most contemporary kind of a chapter, where it's more just fight them and kind of get over with, and there wasn't a whole lot of suspense to it. I mean, there was a little bit.
The only reason why I say I like the 3rd act is I liked beating that girl with the mirrors. That was fun. Like I found it actually, I was doing something and it was fun.
Sure.
And then I liked the fact that when you got her powers by eating her, it was fun walking through all those gluttons and watching them die by your like powers.
Again, some of that specific animation that I liked.
Yeah. And I just found that whole scene to be very satisfying.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have to run and hide and not have any power.
No, it was it was finally like it was like rewarding you for the whole game of like punishing these ugly people for being ugly and just being gluttons, and like I feel like if I were to guess like what is it called when you put your feelings onto something? What is that called, Andy?
Empathize? Project?
Project. Thank you.
Yeah.
See, who's the psychologist? Anyway,
Not me, clearly.
if I were to project my feelings onto it, and I don't think it's necessarily my feelings, but anyways, it seemed to be much more about a statement on being greedy and gluttonous and always wanting more, and what kind of ugly that turns you into.
And that's why I wish they would have kept it more of the nightmare thing, because with nightmares, it's all about how you interpret them. And I think the moral of this game can be interpreted a million different ways.
It's true, but and then it ends, and you're just stuck on an island waiting for another ship to come in, and it's like, why? What does this mean?
Well, yeah, I was confused that she comes out of an island. I was like, weren't we on a boat? How did she even get into an island? Like, the boat suddenly...
I don't know. Maybe I missed something.
But,
I missed that
I don't know.
too.
I think
didn't
it's all
understand.
metaphorical.
Yeah.
It's all
It can be
metaphor.
whatever
Well,
you
and
want.
we're also missing the moment where she... I think there's 2 moments where she, in like a secret room, so maybe there's more, but you walk up and you like hit a button and there's that big seeing eye, and you get like glimpses of... I have no idea. I don't really remember. But
I thought it was like security cameras around the place.
well, I
Yeah.
feel like that's what it was, but it was also...
But you can also
maybe
flip through the
alluding
TV
to-
channels at one point.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I never did that.
You obviously hit the TV.
Yeah.
You can keep hitting it and go to different channels.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like the third act was cool, but it also felt really rushed. Because I felt like I spent the most time in the game with the guy with the long arms. Because I felt
Yeah.
like he had 4 or 5 different rooms, and then the chefs had like 2 or 3. But then, like, by the time you got to the geisha, that's literally like 2 rooms, and it's over. So, I don't know, it just felt like they spent way more time on the beginning and rushed it to the end.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed also, but the mirror, that trick or that puzzle was way too easy to solve. They like
It's
were
not even a...
Yeah.
it should have been a puzzle, right? They like televised it so much, like, all right, go to the right. They like shine a light on this pillow cushion. You know, you've already seen 100 times that all the mirrors are broken, so you like know this girl doesn't like mirrors, and there just has to be a mirror, whatever. So it was a little too obvious of what to do. So that was kind of disappointing.
Yeah. Do you happen to remember how many times you reflected the light onto her to like finish her?
Wasn't it like 4 times?
No,
It was,
it was more than
maybe
that.
4 or 5.
See,
6
because
maybe.
now
Uh,
the collectibles in the game, you can collect the little pyramid head gnome guys, and then you can also break the geisha
Right.
jars.
Yes.
I felt like the more geisha jars you find and break, the like more essence of her you're killing, so you only have to reflect the light fewer times.
Oh.
And I tried to look this up online, couldn't find anything of it.
I was curious what those meant.
Right, because there's nothing in the game or in any of the menus that says what collecting the little gnome guys or the geisha dolls do at all.
It doesn't, but once you beat the game, it tells you how many you collected and where you missed them. Or
Oh,
like,
really?
so
I
yeah,
didn't
you
see
can
that.
go back and look at each chapter, and it'll say how many gnomes and how many statues you missed.
Oh,
So when you walked out at the end, when you walked up the stairs, how many gnomes were at the bottom of the stairs looking at you?
I think I had like 5.
Oh, I thought it was like 2 or 3 for me.
Okay, so because I obviously didn't finish it, and so the walkthrough they had probably like 7 or 8 or 9, and then the mirror I think there's just 4 or 5. So I
So-
wonder if you're right.
That would be cool.
What
Yeah.
does it mean?
I don't know.
So maybe those gnomes are the like
Doesn't-
ones you rescued, so they come back out at the end.
Uh huh.
Well,
They
yeah.
watch you ascend.
I feel like if I watched her eat one of my friends, I'd probably not care. But
Yeah, I
May-
don't know.
Maybe they're happy to see her go.
Because they don't follow her.
no, they don't. They let
They
her
let her walk
out.
off.
See, I also see it as a like a metaphor for becoming an adult. You know, because this little girl, she wakes up and you don't know what her story is or where she's going, and she goes through this very dangerous world. And as she grows up, she becomes more and more like the people she's trying to fight against.
Yeah, she starts out innocent.
Yeah, she starts out very innocent and fearful, and then by the end of it, she's killing just as much as they do. And even in the last scene, it seems like she gets bigger, besides the walkthrough part. But as you kill the geisha, it seems like she grows bigger. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah,
he's deep.
He is deep. I'm like,
so deep.
Man, I just finished the game. I was like, that was neat. Then I started playing something else. I was underwhelmed with the story because, again, comparing to Inside was also completely obtuse, but I felt like it had set up the story well enough for us to make assumptions about what it meant. This one, I was just like, fuck if I know,
Yeah.
That one had clues.
I like, not to just go back and compare Inside, but it was my favorite game of last year.
Yeah.
The title said Inside, and you just wanted to know in the whole game what's inside. And when you find out, you're like, oh my... it was such a great feeling of finding out and being so disturbed.
Yeah.
All right. So what do you rank it? What do you number it?
I gave Blaster Master a 3.
Damn.
I think I did. Let me go.
Well,
ahead.
again, going back to Kirby's point, you gotta rate stuff on its own genre.
Oh no, I didn't. Okay. I gave Blaster Master 2.5. Good.
Okay. So 3 for
Yeah, I think this deserves somewhere in between really a 2 and a 3, but let's bump it up to a 3. I'm honestly, and it's all because of the controls. If it just wasn't for the controls, this game would be much higher ranked and would be on par probably with Inside in terms of, it's a little quick of a game.
Yeah.
It's very fast. And if you didn't die because of the controls, whoa, would it be really fast?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I was reading people on message boards just to see what they thought of it, and pretty much all I came across was people talking about how quickly they beat it. And then on subsequent playthroughs, people were beating it in like an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Even less than that. I gave it a 4 because...
Ooh, doggy.
It's... if anything is my kind of game, that's my kind of game. You got a cool, creepy side-scroller thing that, has a lot of... That's oozing style and, is just weird and off-putting. That's shit that I like, man.
Definitely the animation is top-notch.
Except for that run cycle. I felt like the forward leg wasn't extending. It was always bent in. It's like, come on, girl. And also the speed didn't... I feel like the speed didn't match how much movement the cycle was going through. Yeah.
But everything else was so creepily perfect. Even the long arms guy, with his arms weren't just a little long. They were way too long.
Yeah.
But they made it work.
Yeah.
I would have seen that design and been like, all right, honestly, we're not even going to be able to animate this with those long of arms. I probably would have asked them to take it down by at least 25%. But they made it work.
He had no legs. He had no legs, which really focuses the attention on the arms then.
Yep.
If you had just a monkey-looking guy, you wouldn't think too much of it. But because he had no legs, he had no lower torso. The arms just seem so much more freakishly long.
How many times did it take you guys to cut his arms off?
Fuck that fucking part, man.
Yes.
Dude, okay. I forgot about that elevator scene.
That was so annoying.
I replayed that probably 20 times.
Yes. I knew exactly what to do, but you couldn't really predict where the hands were going.
No, and again, it's from that fucking Z-depth thing.
Yes.
I didn't know where I was in relation to his arms.
Yeah.
And then half the time... Because you're supposed to grab a piece to pull it out and let the elevator crash on his arms or whatever. Sometimes it would grab bars on the thing that would not pull off. It's like, okay, I know I'm supposed to to pull 2 bars off. But don't let me grab a 3rd bar that doesn't fucking pull off. Because that was the first thing I did. It's like, all right, well, this obviously isn't the solution to this.
That was the same thing. Yeah, I was like, I tried that, assuming that was what I had to do. And since it didn't work, I immediately gave up and started jumping on every single thing in the fucking room, trying to do everything.
Yep.
And eventually went back to the bar and got one to pull off. And I was like, fuck you. Why didn't you tell me that at the beginning? Why didn't it work the first time?
Yeah. I feel like that's a failure in play testing or something.
They announced this game 3 years ago?
No. It was like last year.
2 years ago, maybe? 2015?
No.
Yeah, come on.
I don't know. It would be interesting. I don't know the timeline of it, but to see when it was announced in relation to Inside. Not that I'm saying they're like, hey, let's make a game just like that, but they had to have been inspired by it in some way.
See, and it's that kind of shit that I don't like, or is the reason why I don't like puzzle games, is because there's some developer, story writer, some guy in some office is like, okay, I'm going to have them do this, and then this, and this, and it's so procedural that I just end up trying to believe or trying to think what they think and what they want me to do, and I guess I'm just too oppositional to want to do that. And I'm like, no, fuck you, I don't want to do it this way. And the fact that if you want to proceed through the game, you have to do what they want you to do. I don't like it. Don't like it at all. It's very frustrating.
Interested in seeing you play 2 different games. One, Inside.
Yeah.
Just to see how you like, and then 2, Zelda, because that has puzzles, or at least gameplay that allows you to go, how can I do this? And you probably can do this.
Yeah. Gives you lots of different options to achieve the same goal.
Right.
Yeah,
And
I think
then-
something like Zelda, where it's a little more sandboxy, but you still have to have those little puzzles in between.
All right. Here's a puzzle game that I swore you used to like, and why did you like that and not this? Is you seem to really like Portal.
But I never really progressed terribly far in Portal. The only time I played it was with you, because it was a fun thing to do. Because it's a fun 2-player game where you have that kind of team mentality where you got to think through it. But if it's just me sitting there, I'm like, God, fuck, I can go do something else. Even other games like Halo and the campaigns of Halo, or any campaign really, I'm like, God, I don't want to fucking do this just because you want me to do this.
It's a video game.
Right? No, that's why I like sandbox games where I'm like, I will do what I want to do.
Yeah.
When I want to do it.
Boy, that says a lot about your personality.
Yeah. It does.
Meanwhile, the majority of my games are like, please just handhold me all the way to the end.
It's honestly why I liked Inside Out so much. Inside Out.
Oh, did you like that?
Damn
Fucking
it.
leave already.
Damn it. Inside. Just Inside. Damn you.
Tristan loves Inside Out, by the way.
Ah, good for him.
Great. Did he see our last movie?
What was our last movie? Ice Age 5?
Ice Age 5?
He did. He actually liked that a lot.
Did he?
Did he like the Shangri-La?
Yeah, he did.
Great. I am
the Shangri-La is a lot like the yak in Zootopia, so,
Nobody ever made that comparison.
Nope.
As we were working on the character,
Well,
saying, "Hey, have you seen this trailer?" Oh, nobody will
Snap.
remember that.
well, Tristan loves both of them.
good.
That was a very disturbing day when we saw the trailer to Zootopia, and we're like, "Oh no, oh no, we have the exact same character in our movie right now."
Not exact.
I mean, they're both very similar cow-looking characters. I mean, one's a llama and one's a yak.
There you go. That's
Totally
the
different.
difference. Anyway.
One was played by a Hesher, smoker, a doobier,
Yeah?
a real reefer man.
Where's Pete? Did you know...
Do you miss Pete?
Did you know Little Nightmares had like 7 animators. It's pretty cool.
That's it.
Well, which would make it a lot easier to stay on style.
Yeah. Did you know that I like games that have title screens at the end that say "Thank you for playing"?
I did not know that.
I really like that.
I feel like that's
Why do
pretty
you like
old
that?
school, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's usually like smaller teams that are like, we put a lot of love into this. Thanks for giving us a
I
shot.
think you should go back and play some original NES games. A lot of thank you for playing.
Oh yeah.
Fuck
Yeah,
all
some
those
dude on top of a
people.
building or a mountain, very similar to this, holding up some scepter or some shit with lightning in the background, saying thank you.
Actually, when I just beat Wonder Boy, you don't care because it's not really a spoiler because the game doesn't have a fucking story. But you just walk back into a house and then above it says, "Your journey has ended. Thanks for playing."
Yeah.
I was like, fuck this. This isn't a story. Anyway, are we good?
That's it. That's our basically take on Little Nightmares. Unfortunately, since Pete's not here, we don't have a conclusion of what is our June game of the month.